In this video, let's make some experiments with arrays. So I will go to my experiments folder and open my arrays.cfm file. And after the first comment here, I will create an array using the explicit notation. So I use a cfset tag. I give the name of the variable. I want to call it a colors, and again I use a to remind myself that this is an array, exactly like the st for structures, but once again you can come up with the name that you want and with the naming convention that you want. So here I will create a new array using the array new function. Now I will hit the Control spacebar shortcut to show you a list of the array functions available in ColdFusion. You see there are a lot of functions here. The one that I will use is the array new, which is right here. And you see that the array new function takes one argument. This argument is called dimension, and it's a numeric argument. So what I have to type here in the parenthesis is a number. Now in the yellow box you can see the description of the array new function, and you see that the number has to be 1, 2 or 3. If I type 1, I create a one-dimension array, which is what we will do in this video. Now a two-dimensions array is actually an array of arrays, which means an array that is used to store other arrays. And ColdFusion can go up to 3 dimensions, so arrays of arrays of arrays. So with that system you can end up with a single variable containing an impressive amount of data. But in this video we will keep things simple and create a one-dimension array. So let's go, and the number I type here is 1 because I want a one-dimension array. Now I want to place data inside the array, so I use another cfset, a colors. Now the first index of the array here is going to be red, the first color. And now I can copy paste that line 2 more times to populate the second and the third index with other colors, red, green and blue. And of course, to check it out, I will now use cfdump like that to dump the a colors variable. Don't forget the equal here, and I will add a little label to that cfdump tag to remind myself that this is the explicit array. Okay, let's take a look at this one. I will run this in the browser, and you see the array here: 1, 2, 3, 1 green, 1 red, 2 green and 3 blue. So this works. Now let's create in ColdFusion Builder the very same array now, but using the implicit notation. So I will use a single line of code, a single cfset statement to create the a colors implicit array. And I will make it equal to, you see that I use here the square brackets to tell ColdFusion that I want to create an array. So the curly braces were for structure, and here for arrays we use square brackets. Now the first index is red, then I use the comma to separate the first from the second index, red. The second index is green, and again a comma to separate the second from the third index. The third one is blue. And again, I will check it out by using cfdump, and this time I want to dump the a colors implicit array. Let's copy paste this one, and the label in that case will be implicit array, and I don't need that second var argument here. All right, now let's run this in the browser, and you see that in both cases I have the exact same result. So both notation produce the same result. Once again, you will use the notation that you like the most. It doesn't really matter. Okay, now let's use the Array Len function. So here to print out how many elements I have in an array. So I will use here a cf output tag because I want to output something on the screen. I want ColdFusion to print something out. Let's clear that mess a little bit. Like that, it's going to be easier to see for you. There we go. And in the CF output, I will use the hash signs to tell ColdFusion what I want to print out. And I will use the Array Len function, and I want to output the length of the A colors array, like that in the parentheses. Let's run the page again, and you see the A colors array contains here 3 elements. Now let's make another experiment with a new ColdFusion tag, which is here the CF loop tag. So I will loop over an array and print out on the screen the different elements of the array. So I will use a CF output tag again, because I want to print something out here. And here I will use the CF loop tag. Now this is a very popular tag in ColdFusion to loop over things. Now I want the loop to start at the first index, so I will loop from 1, and I want to loop to the end of the A colors array. And the end of the A colors array, I can find it with array len of A colors. So if the A colors array contains 4 elements, I will loop 4 times. Now I want one more thing. Here's the index. I will create a variable. I will call that variable I, but again, I can choose the name of that variable. And the variable I will contain the number of the loop. So at the first loop, the value of I is 1. For the second loop, the value of I will be 2. And at the third loop, the value of I will be 3. And so on. So let's now print out the value of I inside of the loop. And I also want to print out the corresponding index inside the A colors array. So I will write here A colors. And inside of the square brackets, I want to have the index of the I, so the first, the second, or the third index, depending on which loop I'm on. And in between those things, I will add a HTML break tag to print those data in separate lines. So let's save that page and run that page. And there you go, 1 equal red, 2 equal green, 3 equal blue. So the CF loop has looped over the A colors array, and we have looped 3 times because we have 3 elements in the array. The first loop was for red, the second loop was for green, and the third loop was for blue. So this is another very interesting tag in ColdFusion, the CF loop tag. Now let's use some other functions here, the array append and the array prepend. So we'll use CF set, and I will use first the array append function. And the array append function takes 2 arguments. First, I have to tell inside which array I want to append something. And I want to add some data in the A colors array. And the data I want to add in the A colors array is another color. I will say, for example, orange, like that. Now we'll use also the array prepend function to prepend something in the A colors array again, and the value that I want to prepend here, let's say it's going to be another color, let's say yellow, for example. There we go. And now let's dump that array again to see what is the effect of these 2 functions, explicit array after prepend and append. And now if I run the page, you will see that yellow comes first because array prepend adds data in an array but at the beginning of the array. Orange comes last. That's the effect of array append. It adds data at the end of the array, and you see that the previous data, the data that was already present in the array has been shifted. So red that used to be 1 has now been shifted to 2, and green to 3, and blue to 4. So you see that's the effect of array append and array prepend. Now let's make one last experiment here using array delete add. So I will use here again a CF set statement, and I will take array delete add. Let's take a look at that function using control space. So array delete add. You see that it takes 2 arguments, the array in which I want to delete something. I want to delete something in A colors, and the position that I want to delete. I want to delete something, for example, at the 3rd index of the array. And now if I dump that array again, so CF dump explicit array after array delete add. Let's see how that looks like. And you see, oops, yes, of course, a colors. I forget the S here. You see that I've had a little mistake, a little error. Now it works, all right. So you see that the third index, it used to be green, so green is not anymore present in the array at the end here. And you see also that blue that used to be 4 has been shifted up to 3, and orange has been shifted up 1 level to 4. So the ColdFusion array has been automatically contracted. There is no empty spot left behind, and this is how ColdFusion array works. Now this marks the end of this third chapter in which you learned about variables and data types in ColdFusion. It is time now to turn our attention to the next chapter and to start talking about databases.